Let me know when you're ready.
We're going. We're going.
Okay, good. So, welcome everybody, and thank you for joining us today. This webinar is going to be fun and exciting. And by the way, we're offering a money back guarantee. So, if you don't learn anything from this webinar today, we'll be happy to refund your money. But more importantly, if you follow my advice that I'm going to share with you today, and you do not become a celebrity expert within the first 20 years, then we'll even double your money back. How's that? So, pretty good, huh? So, I want to introduce our webinar co host, Martin Pea, who's the back end IT person, right and left hand man, all around good guy. He's actually going to be passing out virtual coffee and pastries. So hopefully you guys put your order in, and hopefully you get it if he doesn't forget. He forgot the last webinar at the last webinar. So um, this is me. I'll talk a little bit about myself when we get further down uh, the webinar. So we're doing a Ask the Expert series. Basically, these webinars are made to help small business owners and entrepreneurs. So let me go over some Zoom webinar features. This webinar platform is a little different from the Zoom meetings that you probably attended, where you can see everybody's pictures on the video and everyone's able to talk. This is a little different format. With our webinar, if you have any questions, there's a Q&A icon where you can click on and type in your questions. If you want to ask the questions live, there's a raise hand icon. You can click that on, and we'll open up your microphone so you can ask the questions live and able to speak. By the way, because the title is Ask the Expert Series, we urge you to ask whatever questions you have because you got some experts here. And then, also, I get paid by the hour, so just ask as many questions as you want. Okay, so let's begin. So, get known now, becoming a celebrity expert in your field. Now, actually, before I became a marketing expert, I became a building and construction expert. And so the photos of me on stage in Hollywood, walking the red carpet and on the stage, getting my trophy as a best selling author. So my specialty as an expert was in the building and construction field. I'm actually a construction engineer by training and education. Um, and was not a marketing expert or social media marketing expert. I became one about 10 years ago when somebody asked me, how are you what are you doing to promote yourself? And then I had this idea, oh, okay, well, I'll just, help people by telling them what I did or what I do to become more known and to become a celebrity. So that's the story. Okay. Also, the whole webinar today is based on my upcoming book um, called Get Known Now, Becoming a Celebrity Expert in Your Field. So basically, there's tidbits of information from the book that I'm sharing with you on this webinar. Uh, of course, the entire webinar could be 4 hours long, but I took bits and pieces, the very important sections, and presenting it today for you. So let's talk about foundation on media or just general marketing. There's the traditional media and there's social media. So the traditional media is kind of like the old style way of marketing or promoting your product or service. The social media is doing the same thing but using a different platform. Okay, and I'll talk about that a little bit more. But you probably are aware that traditional media was not social media, and social media just came about with the internet and all these different social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and so forth. Okay, so the old way, and I'm saying the old way, but it's traditional, and it the traditional way of promoting is still around today, and we're talking about radio, TV, print media such as magazines or newspapers, and this type of media marketing is very expensive. Okay, and it's hard to reach a target audience. So, for instance, if you put a ad in a newspaper, in a daily newspaper, it's not necessarily hitting your target audience. It's just hitting whoever the readers are. As opposed to social media, you can identify your specific target audience. Okay, and what I mean by that is, say you want to post on Facebook and you want to make an ad out of your post, which is called boosting the post. You can identify your target audience as to who uh, you want to see your ad via demographics, age, uh, their interests, and that kind of thing. Okay, so in one respect, the social media marketing is a lot better to target your direct audience. It's actually cheaper too. Okay, um, so if you want to be a rock star, let's say, and want to be a celebrity, one way to do it is you buy a 30-minute ad that shows on Super Bowl. Okay, wouldn't that reach millions of people? Yeah, it would. But guess what? A 30-second ad, and sorry, I said 30-minute. There's no such thing on a Super Bowl. A 30-second ad. Right now, I checked early this morning. The cost of the 30-second ad is 5.5 million. So but that's a very good way to get your name in front of a lot of people, right? So I was gonna put an ad, uh, run an ad, 30 seconds on Super Bowl, and Martin and I spent hours coming up with the right ad, and then we're gonna have to do a video and all that. But then I realized that we're like $5.5 million short. So we said, scrap that idea. Let's come up with something else. Okay, so uh, there's classes on traditional media versus social media at the university and all that, but I'm giving you some fast tidbit information. Okay, how about the know, like, and trust factor? If you haven't heard about it yet, it's fairly easy. Uh, if people know you, there's a tendency they're going to like you and then trust you. Okay, and when I say uh, know you, they don't have to personally know you. They can actually know about you. And when they know about you, it kind of relates to knowing you. For instance, personally on Facebook, I have like 3,600 something friends. I don't personally know all of them. I maybe personally know about 1,000 of them, and the other ones I don't know. I haven't met them personally, but they know me because they follow me on Facebook. Okay, so if you want to have that type of following, that's using social media. So you don't have to really know the person, or they don't have to know you personally, but they can know about you and know what you stand for and what you do. And the more you're in people's faces, they're going to trust you, and they're going to like you. So when it comes time to selling them a product or service, they're more apt to listen to you than someone who's a stranger. Okay. Hey, let's talk about branding. Now, my next webinar, which is next month, the whole webinar is devoted to talking about branding and story selling, which is like storytelling, but using a twist. So please sign up for that one if you're interested. Basically, branding is creating your image and your voice and your personality. Kind of like you gotta let people know who you are and come up with something unique that's gonna attract people's attention, either from a logo design or your slogan or what you stand for. And sometimes it's hard and sometimes it's easy. It's easy to come up with a nice logo if you have the right people helping you, but it may be a little harder to take that logo and do something with it or continually to promote it. Okay. Um, the branding actually works pretty good. You just have to keep promoting. Okay. How do you promote your brand? Okay. One way is to tell a story. You tell a story, not just any story. And the reason it's not just any story is you want to tell your story, your own story. You don't take somebody else's story, or you don't try to imitate someone else, because nobody is like you. Every person is an individual with separate qualities. And the idea behind this is that when you tell your own story, your own personality comes out, and uh, you're kind of out there. I know a lot of people, they're more private, but if you want to become a celebrity and get known, you kind of have to separate yourself. And if you're a private person, you kind of have to take steps to become a public person. That's really the only way to do it. If you're a private person and you don't want to share things about yourself or your company or product or services, then it's not going to happen for you. Okay, by the way, these two guys are friends of mine, and I'm going to see if I can get a download of their book. And if I can, then I'll be able to share it with you guys if you're interested. Okay, this is the fun part. Okay, so it's the start of how I got known, and basically I'm sharing the story with you. So if you want to live in a cave or hang out in a cave and no one's going to see you, you're not going to get known. Or if you're in the witness protection program, you're not going to get known either. Okay, so uh, this is what not to do. Okay, you don't live in a cave and you don't join the witness protection program, because then nobody's going to know who you are. Okay, so my story, it's how it all began, and I'm excited to share my own story with you, because for the past 10 years people have been asking me, how did you do it? You seem to, like, everywhere you go people know who you are. Um, and they said, do you know all these people? I said, well, no. People stop me in the elevator, at Zippy's, and they go, oh yeah, hey Lance, yeah, how you doing? And I'm like, oh. And then the downside is I'm thinking, how do I know this person? I try to remember who they are, and then it's a blank. And then come to find out, the person goes, yeah, I see you on the news. And I go, oh, okay, yeah. So that's a situation where they know who I am, but I don't know who they are. So I get caught off guard. Yeah. So how it all began in the 80s, I started a home inspection company and a construction consulting company, and no one knew who I was basically. And I decided that I'm going to do everything it took to get my name out there. So I offered to show up and speak at different organizations, and it didn't matter who it was. It didn't matter if it had any relationship to what business I was in. Okay, so I determined that by doing that, I'm just hitting a lot of people and meeting a lot of people through the networking. I gave presentations. My direct audience, target audience was realtors. So I contacted every real estate company. I said, hey, I'm willing to come to your company to do a half an hour presentation on home inspection or whatever topic of your choosing. And sometimes they go, we don't have 30 minutes to give you. We'll have 10 minutes. And I said, okay, I'll take the 10 minutes. And it didn't matter to me whether I showed up at their office and there were 2 people there or whether there was 50. The show must go on. So I did the same thing. And by doing that, within a year, I pretty much amassed a lot of contacts. I also participated in trade shows, uh, went around to different booths, passed out my business card, and I also participated. I had a booth at various trade shows that had to do with my business. And what I did was, in about 1 year's time, I had about 1,000 to 2,000 business cards from other people. So I put together mailing lists and I created my own newsletter, and I sent a newsletter out quarterly, and then it turned to monthly. Now, you know how much time it takes to write articles for a newsletter, send it out to the printers, get it back, and actually apply the postage and send it out. It took a lot of time, effort, and money. And today, um, you can basically create your articles, put it together, and use a platform where one push of a button and that newsletter goes out to 2,000 people on your list. So it's a lot easier now doing it online. Okay. So, how do you make yourself an expert, or how do you make yourself the expert? Well, you got to look at what you do, what's your hobbies, what do you do professionally, and kind of think about what skills you have. And it's going to be interesting when I tell you more about how to do it. Okay, so if you look at the screen there on the right hand side, there's a National Building Expert logo, and there's Ask the Building Expert. So this is called branding. And the National Building Expert, we came up with a logo, and that's one of my brands. And then we started Ask the Building Expert series of webinars that you may want to attend in the future. That's a different series, but this is part of branding. And how you make yourself the expert is you keep coming up with different ideas and keep promoting it. Even if you're not the number one expert, you are an expert at something. Okay, so you just gotta start. I'll give you a story about um, how I got the title. Okay, so because I was a building expert, construction expert, I was on a construction litigation case, and my title was building consultant. And then come the day to go to court to testify, the attorney stands up in court and says, I have my building expert, Lance Luke. And then I went and gave my testimony. So after that, I thought, oh, okay, that title is pretty good. I like that, building expert. So then I created a website with the domain name Hawaii Building Expert. And so that's how I got that. And then I was on a national TV show. And the host, before he announced me, he said, "Oh, we have here today uh, uh, expert from Hawaii, national building expert Lance Luke." And then, I gave my interview. Then after that, I said, "National building expert. Gee, I like that title even better." So I used that and made a brand just for that. And then I have a separate blog that has information regarding building and construction. Okay, so that's the idea. All right, so um, what's an expert? And how, you may ask, how do I'm a layperson, how do I become an expert? Okay, so here's a definition of expert. The definition is a person who has comprehensive or authoritative knowledge of or skill in a particular area. And you may ask yourself, maybe, I mean, if I kind of bend things a little, I may be considered an expert. Okay, so um, there's different words to denote uh, a celebrity or an expert. And those words are, and if you hear it, it kind of means the same thing: subject matter expert, trusted advisor, mastermind, thought leader, leading authority, a guru, uh, a master or grandmaster, like in martial arts, celebrity, professional, specialist, and influencer. Okay. So all these pretty much mean the same thing. Now, here's the legal definition. And because I'm an expert witness and I go to court to testify on construction litigation cases and premises liability, we use the legal definition. Okay. And I'm going to get legal on you for about a minute. The Federal Rules of Evidence, Rule 702, testimony by expert witnesses, okay, states that a witness is qualified as an expert by knowledge, skill, experience, training, or education. Okay. Notice that the word I used was or. It's not and. So in other words, you don't have to have all these different things in order to be qualified as an expert. You just need to have one. So if you have knowledge, like you studied about something for years and you have superior knowledge over a layperson, okay, you're an expert. If you have skill, um, maybe you chopped down a lot of trees and you became a lumberjack. So that's your skill. You're an expert. Experience, a training. The training and experience sometimes go together, but let's say the training you attended a community college or got your certificate in becoming a plumber or electrician. Okay, that would qualify. Okay, and education, of course, if you have a master's degree, bachelor's, or PhD, you could be qualified as an expert. So if you look at these things and look at your personal situation, you can become an expert too. Now, if you aren't quite sure, contact us and we'll be able to review what you have and kind of help you with the expert idea. Okay. No, that's a key point. Okay, then get yourself in the news. Well, how do I do that? Okay, well, there's radio, print, TV, newspaper, magazines. You want to get yourself in the news? You can pay a bunch of money and run radio ads, TV commercials, or put ads in the newspaper or magazine. Okay, but maybe you don't have the money or you don't want to do that. Okay. Okay, well, here's an idea. Uh, Here's what I did. Years ago, we had a storm in Hawaii, and uh, a lot of homes got flooded and roofs blew off and those kind of things. So I decided that I want to promote myself more. So what I did was and this is back uh, when we used faxes. So I typed up a press release, and it said immediate release, and it said tips to clean up your home after a flood or after a storm. And then I listed bullet points, and it just was on one sheet, very simple. And I faxed it to every radio station and TV station in Hawaii. And the backstory is that this Japanese radio station called me up, and the lady uh, said, "Oh, Mr. Luke-san, we want to interview you on radio." And I said, "Okay, but I don't speak Japanese." She said, "No problem. We have translator. We'll call you back." So, okay, thank you. I thought they were going to call back like next week or whatever. 2 minutes later, the phone rings, and there's a guy saying, "Oh, Mr. Luke-san, can you hear me?" And I said, "Yes." And then all of a sudden, I hear him going, "One, two, three." And then he goes, "Domo arigato. This is Mr. Yamaguchi on KOHO radio. We have today guest building expert, Mr. Luke-san. Welcome." And then I'm like, "Oh, wow. Uh, Geez, I'm live on the radio now." So I got caught off guard. And then he says, "Mr. Luke-san from FEMA, Federal Emergency Management Agency." And then I'm like, well, I don't work for FEMA. But what happened was, in the immediate release, I put down that I was a co-author in this book called Repairing Your Flooded Home, that was promoted by FEMA and the Red Cross. So he just took that. So I didn't want to argue with him. So anyway, I kind of caught off guard because I didn't know I would be on the radio. So I started talking back with like a Japanese accent. And then I'm like, "Oh, well, wait a minute. I'm not even Japanese." So the story is, you don't have to spend a lot of money. You just have to be innovative and think of different ideas on how to approach these things to get your name out there. And by the way, this story is a perfect example about third party endorsement, because it's not me saying, "Oh, I'm the expert," blah blah blah. When you're on TV or in media, on the radio, in this example, it's a third party endorsement because they're the ones interviewing me. So all of a sudden, I'm the expert at repairing your flooded home, and that's worth money to me. Okay, then get yourself on the news. Okay, I was during the past 2 years, I was on local TV about 10 times. And uh, how do they know that I'm around? Well, first it started on Facebook. They kept seeing my Facebook posts, and what I did was I kept posting photos when I go to my job site of problem areas, and I post a picture on Facebook saying, "What's the problem here?" or "What do you think the problem is?" And then people start responding. And believe it or not, the news people follow Facebook. So they saw my post and then they called me. They said, "Oh, we have a building that collapsed. Are you able to meet us so we can do an interview?" And I'm like, "Sure." And I don't turn down, because every time I'm on TV, on the news, that's already a solid third party endorsement. The other thing is I'm getting free advertising and marketing from my company. So if I was on 10 times, I've gotten thousands of dollars of free marketing and advertising on the news. And when you're on the news, you immediately become a celebrity, even if you're not. So that's just a word of advice, okay? And it's kind of fun to be on TV, and you're live. So if you make a mistake, the show must go on. You just gotta keep talking through it, basically. Yeah. Okay. So also, uh, this is a photo of me on an interview, Times Square Today show in New York, and the guy, the host, his name is Nick Nanton. He's a friend of mine. He's actually a 22-time Emmy Award winner. This guy's pretty awesome. In fact, he invited me to be a producer on one of his movies. So I took him up on his offer, and more about that later. How do you how do you get yourself more in the news? Okay, well, you you can send letters to the editor, post on Facebook, um, just do all kinds of things. Also, the news people like when you take a stand, especially if you don't agree with uh, a news story or a government entity. They like to pick up on that. Okay. Another way you can become a celebrity is to write a book. Well, wait a minute. I'm not a book writer, or I can't write, or whatever the reason is. Well, you know what? You see these two books here, they became national bestsellers, and I only wrote one chapter. I didn't write the whole book. Okay. Now, to to have a national book published may cost $30,000 to $50,000, but you don't have to do it yourself. Okay, you team up with other people. Okay, so you wanna go cheaper? Let's say you don't have that kind of money. Well, you can publish your own book. Okay, so Martin and I worked on these two books. One is about the rail, and the other is about social media marketing. You can buy it on Amazon if you want, or if you're nice to us, we may give one to you free if you win a contest. Um, and let me see. If you want to know the cost to actually get one of these books published, I think it was like $300. But once you become a published author, your name goes on the Amazon list. And then when your name's on the list, wouldn't you be like an expert? Wouldn't you like to be a celebrity? So that's the way to do it. And your book doesn't have to be that long. Okay. How else can you become a celebrity and get known? Well, you can send out press releases. So the press release on the right was when my book became a bestseller. A press release went out saying, "Oh, guess what? Lance Luke co-authored this book with Larry King, blah blah blah." Okay. Now here's a little twist. I decided I wanted to promote myself and get more PR with this COVID pandemic, but I'm the building expert. So how would I write a story about COVID being a building expert? So I thought about it, and here's the twist. I actually wrote four press releases that had to do with the COVID-19. One of them was building safety COVID-19 prevention tips. The other one was building expert recommends lockdown of all 50 states. The other one was COVID-19, faulty AC, and leaking plumbing. And then here's my favorite. Building expert claims clogged pipes due to toilet paper shortage. Okay. That's my favorite one because at that time, there was a shortage of toilet paper. There was a run on the stores, off the shelf, and all that. But the press releases got published in over 750 national and international media platforms. So, what I'm saying is that you got to think about how to relate your story to a national story and come up with a press release to get published, and then you get more promotion. Another way is to create videos. When you create videos and you post it on your website or on social media like Facebook and LinkedIn, you're creating more interest in you, and you're getting more publicity, and that's part of marketing. Now, you don't have to hire a professional videographer with $20,000 worth of equipment and all that. You can do a simple one using your smartphone, and those are the easy ones you can do. This one, I wasn't happy with the background, but the story on that is I had a professional guy do offsite, which is like at this was in San Antonio, Texas. So I had a place on the Riverwalk where I'm going to be talking about concrete repair, and in the background showing the boats and all that. That didn't work out because I didn't know at the time, and we are going to set up that they were doing construction work. So there was too much noise and dust and all that. Then we decided to shoot in the lobby, but the lobby had these glass storefronts that were like 20 feet high, all windows, and the sun was shining in, and we couldn't get a good, lighting situation. So we went up to my hotel room, and I had to rearrange the furniture to make it look like it was a professional office or something. But that's why the furniture and the drapes are so drab. So anyway, things to consider. So low cost videos is what you can do. Also give webinars like the one you're attending today. Okay. So this one is a good example. You can do the same thing, just copy what we're doing. Okay. By the way, I'm going to update my resume to say that I survived 1,000 webinars in 2020. So I think that's something that might be good. By the way, this photo of me in Waikiki talking to 2,000 people. I don't know what the subject was. It certainly wasn't about cruises, though. Okay, here's another way. Start a blog. If you don't have the time and energy, start posting on Facebook, Instagram, whatever. That could be your starting of a blog if you have good things to say. And then you get to the point of you can create your own blog, and then that's a way to promote yourself. So you're going to be a celebrity expert. You keep posting to the blog. Eventually, people are going to recognize you and what you say and listen to you, and then you become the authority. Okay, keep your website current. Okay, your website, in the past, websites are just like an electronic brochure, basically, about your company. These three websites are all companies that are controlled by myself and Martin. And by the way, we have about 24 websites up now, and we're in the process of probably making about 60 more. Why? Because we can. We have a platform that we can design unlimited websites and free hosting. It's a proprietary platform, and we're just using the heck out of it. By the way, the notice you got, that website you went to sign up for this webinar was created through the platform that we use. Okay, so just keep your website current. The reason why I have many websites is I got different things going on, but because it's basically very inexpensive. Okay, now if you're really industrious and have extra time, you build community websites. And this one is about the rail. I'm always complaining about the rail, and it just costs too much and that kind of thing. So um, the other day I was giving a presentation about the rail, and I asked people, okay, raise your hand if you think the rail is too expensive and you're not for the rail. And then of course everybody raised their hand, right? And then I said, you know what? I'm for the rail. And they're like, oh, I said, yeah, I'm for the rail. I'm for it to be in San Diego. And everybody was laughing. And then I said, something magical happened to me. I was driving by the airport and these rail construction was going on, and something magical happened to me. My wallet felt lighter. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I know what you mean. Okay. So, I mean, if you feel industrious, you build your own community website. I have another one, Stand with Mauna Kea. The caveat on this is if you get into a situation where it's controversial, just be aware of some backlash, because the Mauna Kea, there's always two sides to it. So people aren't going to always agree with you all the time. Okay. And the big takeaway is whatever you do, you don't have to do all of these things that I'm doing. You could pick one or two and do those things and see what works, because not everything may work for you. Okay. But the key is you post often on social media. I post every single day on social media. I got so many social media accounts, I can't even keep track. And primarily I use Facebook because that's what works for me. And I have the most followers and the most friends on Facebook. So when I make a post, more people would be able to see it and respond, and create games when you post. Don't just post something or share a post. Make it personal, make it coming from you, and make it fun. Like I have contests and games, and I post some dumb stuff on Facebook, and it's amazing. The stupidest stuff I post on Facebook, I get 200 something likes, right? And then people post, and then I post something serious and I get 86 likes, and I'm like, what are people thinking nowadays? But that's a concept when I realized that you have to make it fun and interesting. Otherwise, people aren't going to get engaged. You have to engage people. You have to bring them into your realm and have them participate. And the other takeaway is when you post something on Facebook, like you post a question or something, don't ignore it, because you ask a question, people respond. And if you don't respond back to them or click like to their post, they're going to not want to engage in you anymore, because they feel like left out. They feel like you asked the question or reached out to them, and then when you gave the answer, they ignored you. Okay, so some social media etiquette tips. And use whatever works for you. If Twitter works better for you than Facebook, use Twitter. If LinkedIn works better than Twitter, use LinkedIn. You got to keep trying different platforms to see what really works. And most people don't have time to keep posting on all these different platforms, but maybe you want to alternate. There's actually a method to the madness, and we haven't figured out the exact method. Yes, we're still in a madness stage, but we'll get there soon. Okay, so at this time, we can open it up for any questions if anybody has any, or if anybody fell asleep or ran away, you know, we won't ask those, but anybody, Martin, anything in the Q&A or chat or anything?
No, no questions. I guess you did such a great job that, everybody's awed, I think.
Either that or so totally confused they don't even know what question to ask. But
Yeah. No
the,
problem. No
the
problem.
bottom line is that
Okay.
just use any of the methods that I discussed today, because the topic is get known now. And it could be get known, but I wanted to use now because of the pandemic, and there's so many small business owners and entrepreneurs that are suffering and they need to get the word out. And this is a way to do it. There's different methods to it. They can just take one or two. And if they're studious, industrious, they want to go for it, then they can, do more than two, three, or do all of it. It takes a lot of effort and time, and in some respects, it may take some money, but there's a way to do it. So my whole format was basically uh, created to make it very simple for people to understand how things are being done. And basically, that's about it. Martin, you got any questions on anything? Oh, I know. The next webinar is going to be on February 18th, and it's about branding, story selling, and social media manifesto. But basically, the social media part, we're going to give you a checklist that you can use to help you and guide you while you're marketing social media. Then we have a whole bunch of other topics too. But go to our website, ask the expert, or let's see, I got so many sites. Ask expert marketers, or Martin, what is it? Your microphone is muted, I think.
Okay. Yeah, the site they can go to, Lance, is askmarketingexperts.now.site.
That's right. Good. Thank you. Geez, that's one of the issues with having too many websites. Can't remember all the domain names. But yeah, so appreciate everybody's attendance. If you got any questions later, feel free to give us a call or email us. We'll be happy to talk to you. If you want to learn more about the platforms that we use, yeah, we can fill you in on that too. And appreciate your attendance, and looking forward to seeing you at some upcoming webinars. Thank you very much. Signing off.